need these meals delivered. They I mean, they look forward to it when we're coming by, and it's a way of us reaching out into the community.
The snow has left some in that community, many who are seniors isolated.
A lot of folks were not able to get out, maybe even get out of their homes, but get out to get their regular supplies.
A lot of them are seniors. They can't get themselves plowed out. Their walkways are not done. They need assistance.
People who have been waiting for the meals are thrilled to be getting soup and chicken dinners.
Hi, it's been a while.
Well, it's good because I don't do hardly any cooking anymore. Because if I'm standing by the stove, I could end up on the floor.
It's not just the food, but the connection people also enjoy when the deliveries come.
It's so nice to see them, and everybody's so friendly and smiling, and yeah, everybody.
Volunteers are delivering about 40 meals today. They're going out to people who struggle to prepare their own.
Ready prepared meals are an essential service. Grocery delivery is great, food banks are great, but some folks are always going to need prepared meals.
She gives a lot of credit to the approximately 75 volunteers who are dedicated, even through some of the most difficult conditions.
They enjoy it. I enjoy it. Yeah, it's been a great adventure.
Gareth Hampshire, CBC News, Sydney.
A 66-year-old New Glasgow man is facing charges after allegedly threatening a snowplow driver. RCMP say the man made the threat against the snowplow operator on Mount William Road in Pictou County on Tuesday. RCMP and New Glasgow police then went to the man's home the next day and executed a search warrant. They arrested him and seized more than a dozen guns as well as a large amount of ammunition. Lewis Carl Cameron has been charged for uttering threats and unsafe storage of a firearm. A newly formed group is raising concern about Halifax's approach to evicting those in downtown tent encampments. Friends of Downtown Halifax says it wants to increase public pressure on the city to commit to removing all tents from Victoria Park and Grand Parade by the February 26th deadline.
I think it's no secret, it's the panhandling has stepped up, crime has definitely increased. We have had a number of mental health incidents here on the street, whether it's, thefts, smashed windows, or just, the stark reality of somebody in crisis with no support system.
And I'll talk with Sue Utek with Friends of Downtown Halifax about how she thinks evictions should be handled. That is our newsmaker just after 6:30. Growing grassroots organizations in the Annapolis Valley are helping those in need find resources. And as the CBC's Luke Ettinger reports, volunteers are driving the effort.
These two ladies are ready for their quiche.
Farm Cafe volunteer Rebecca Hicks is happy to help feed students at NSCC Annapolis campus. The cafe has a free meal freezer and offers a pay-what-you-can community supper on Thursday nights. She started coming to the cafe as a customer almost 2 years ago. At the time, she was living in a tent in Middleton.
I'm getting the help that I need. My life is so much better. I'm not homeless anymore. All right, ladies.
Cafe Executive Director Sarah McDonald helped Hicks get back on her feet. McDonald says more needs to be done to address housing and food security in rural communities.
How quickly, if we had a state of emergency, could we propel some solutions and then have everyone work together to do it? Because that's the other thing. We in rural community have strength in that. We have partnerships and we build connections.
Elsewhere in town, volunteers continue to step up. Connect Outreach is expanding their operation to include an overnight warming center for up to 8 people.
And we are still processing volunteers, so we'd love to have more people and also helping get the word out. So if people are vulnerable, and you know that for sure, we want people to know that there really is an option for them.
Andrew says at least 25 volunteers have committed to overnight shifts, and people are giving more time to support others at the other end of the Annapolis Valley. A warming center in Windsor continues to expand.
We don't have the red tape. We just do it. We just do it. There's a need, we go in, we get people, we just do it.
We don't have that. So we just step up and do what we have to do to help our neighbors. And
A similar trend in Middleton, where Hicks is helping her neighbors while working toward employment.
These people need more help. They need to get on their feet. They're not getting the proper housing that they deserve.
In the meantime, Hicks says the cafe is a space where everyone is welcome and should feel safe. Lou Gettinger, CBC News, Middleton.
Oh boy, Ryan, that sun lifted a lot of people's spirits today, didn't it?
It certainly did. And in the heart of winter, days like this really, really count. Beautiful sunshine, light winds, temperatures mild. We're going to hang on to the mild temperatures this weekend. That's really the big theme. Certainly clouding up throughout tonight into tomorrow with building cloud cover, but temperatures ranging from near 2 to 3 degrees across Cape Breton, but most of the mainland in the 4, 5, 6 degree range, maybe even in some 7s on the board for the Annapolis Valley region. Couple of showers more likely late Saturday into Saturday night and Sunday, and then the possibility of some sunny breaks again Sunday afternoon. Temperatures once again into the mid-single digits. So a quiet weekend. We'll see some snow melting, but not too much, which is great. And of course, everybody wondering, yeah, the weekend. We know that. What about next week? How many times was I asked about next week? And so we'll get right to that and show you that unfortunately, the uncertainty remains. This is the latest European model. This is not what we want to see. A track near Sable Island would put us into the significant snow zone. That remains a possibility. Having said that, as we watch that system, again, Tuesday into Wednesday, that is most likely going to be the timeline of this. This is the American model track. It has been the more consistent of the models, and the Canadian model also with this type of idea, which keeps the track south of Sable Island. That is a key thing. South of Sable means that significant snow likely stays south of Nova Scotia, puts us in the light to moderate snow zone, maybe even no snow at all. Again, same time frame, Tuesday into Wednesday. Unfortunately, this is still a wait and see, Amy. We'll keep you posted throughout the weekend on our social media feeds, and stay tuned and keep your fingers crossed.
Yes, fingers and toes.
Yes.
All right, thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Well, we have some breaking news now. According to officials with CBRM, one person has been seriously injured after what appears to be some kind of structural failure at an apartment complex for seniors. It happened at Silver Birch Manor in Sydney at around 4 o'clock this afternoon. About 60 people have been displaced. The municipality says police, fire, and EMO are at the scene trying to make arrangements for places to stay. It is not clear yet whether the damage is related to the storm. Well, the Souls Harbor Rescue Mission has made another expansion, this time to the roads. The mission provides food, clothing, and shelter for people in HRM, Bridgewater, and Truro. And as Nicholas Sagan reports, they hope this new mobile pilot project can help reach even more people.
This 9-year-old ambulance is considered too old for medical service, but now it has a new purpose.
We want to call it the Souls Mobile, and what we want on it is things that meet your basic needs. So we're not a full-fledged soup kitchen, but we'll have a sack lunch.
While the decommissioned ambulance is empty for now, it'll soon be full of food, blankets, toiletries, and clothing, whatever is needed to help make unhoused people more comfortable. But Porter says it's not just about giving out supplies.
The other side of it, besides meeting the basic life needs, is advocacy. How can we help you get what you need? Do you need to know how you can pay your rent next month? Well, here are some people that can help you with that.
Porter says the ambulance was donated by Emergency Health Services after she mentioned her vision in an interview.
When I got that call, I was floored, because what are the chances at 7 in the morning I'm on CBC radio for Souls Harbor, and the EHS executive director is listening, and it was like a match made in heaven.
The Souls Mobile is a first for the mission. It'll start by servicing encampments and soup kitchen clients in the Halifax area, but they hope to expand and add to their fleet.
As the Souls Mobile moves throughout HRM right now, we want people to see it and know they feel safe with us, know that we're going to be able to help them out with whatever it is they need help with that day.
For now, they're looking to hire staff and stock up on donations, but they hope to have the Souls Mobile hitting the road by the end of the month. Nicholas Sagan, CBC News, Halifax.
Volunteer firefighters and volunteer search and rescue team members can now access free mental health and wellness supports. The Nova Scotia Firefighter and Ground Search and Rescue Volunteer Assistance Program will give first responders and their families access to personal and family counseling, financial advice, stress management, and nutrition advice. The province is spending $75,000 over 2 years for the program. It says there are about 6,000 volunteer firefighters and 1,200 ground search and rescue volunteers in Nova Scotia. The Nova Scotia government is partnering with a nonprofit road safety training centre in an effort to reduce driving test wait times. The province announced today it is working with Safety Services Nova Scotia to hire 15 new examiners. It comes as there are roughly 10,000 driving tests currently scheduled in the province. Safety Services Nova Scotia expects to have all of the new drivers examined by the end of April and is optimistic they can help address the backlog.
The important thing is that we are a huge supporter and advocate for quality training. And I think the fact that we've now got an opportunity not only to support the training component, but to actually support the actual assessment piece as well, really emphasises the partnership that we have with the province is extremely strong.
In August, the wait time for a driving test was as high as 22 weeks. Aspiring drivers are currently waiting about 6 weeks for a test, but the province wants that down to 3 weeks by the summer. The Year of the Dragon is about to begin. Chinese New Year gets underway tomorrow. And it's a time for Chef Ivan Chan of the Orient on the Bedford Highway to celebrate the elevated and authentic dishes he remembers from his childhood in Hong Kong. I recently met up with him for this latest episode of our series, New Plate Special.
I believe a real chef wants to provide an experience. I tell everybody we are memories maker. Anytime you have some food that you won't forget, that's what I'm trying to create.
All right, Chef Ivan, I know you've got a couple of very special dishes planned. Well, we need to pick up some ingredients first.
We just want to show everybody this little Asian store just right across from my little restaurant, and I shop here all the time.
Well, let's have a look and pick out what you need.
For sure. We are making a sweet and sour pork, so we are looking for pork shoulders. So we are looking for, you see the pork shoulders?
Yeah, a lot of marbling.
Yeah, this is what we call kopa. Chinese cooking, we don't look for lean meat. So this is what we need for our pork today, and they are reasonable.
Now, when you came here in '93, what kind of selection did you have for cooking?
None. There was only one store back in '93. There was a little store on South Street there, and now supermarket have a little Asian vegetable section now. There was not existent back in those days. I would pick up some peppers that we can use. My grandmother, she was a prep cook for one of the best Chinese restaurants back in the 70s. So grew up with a lot of cooking in the family is a pretty big deal for me. My dad was a businessman, and in Asia back in those days, there's a lot of stuff, business being done on a dining table, right? So it's really important to know food. We'll need about 2 for the sauce. Yep, I think we're pretty much good now. I'm just being picky, that's all. Thank you. My grandma's sauce was always in the fridge. That's my favorite thing, kids with the sweet and sour, right? I never really have a recipe, but I was always there watching grandma making it, and I know what it tastes. So when I start my own restaurant, I was like, okay, here's the ingredients. I was playing with it. I kind of know how she made it, and pretty much just use it.
So does that have a real link to your childhood?
It is. Cooking is all about making food memories. And that sauce gives you that nostalgia about like my childhood, right? And you know how you always like, oh my God, I used to eat that when I was a kid. This duck is my main ingredients of my gold medal winning plates.
Wow. And what makes it so special? What's gone into it?
There's 2 mainstream duck of Chinese cooking. There is your Peking duck, everybody heard of, and that's your Cantonese barbecue duck, you probably heard of. Yep. But 2 duck have really extreme different characteristics. Peking duck have that crispy skin that everybody love, but Peking duck generically, usually they don't marinate them. But for barbecue duck, it's about that juicy oil the fat that kept under the skin, but if you have the fat on it under the skin, it's hard to get it crispy. So it took me some time to get to a duck that have both. More like a barbecue duck, but with an extremely crispy skin. The way I cut it, there's a reason for it. What we try to achieve is almost like a duck wing.
So you've fused the two together.
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah. Now, for Chinese New Year, this would be one of the celebratory dishes?
Yes, that's one of the things that we do sometimes, but you gotta have chicken, you gotta have fish, because every dish kind of resembles certain thing, right? Like there's meanings, a lot of prosperity, good wealth, health, and like fish. Fish is the same pronunciation, you have money left every year. So those kind of things, that is a lot of, those kind of things we do in our culture. We do a special dinner every year. This is 8th year in the running. We have like a banquet style, like Chinese food, and I think we'll be doing 12 to 13 courses this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a lot of eating.
It's a lot of eating. I think make people happy is very important, and I think good food can definitely make people happy. And that's where my drive is coming from. Before we start eating, we usually just tell family, elders, mom,食飯. That's what we do, yeah.
All right.
So for instance, I'm going to say, hey, Amy,食飯. Just say, hey, let's start digging.
Ivan,食飯.
Thank you.
Well, let's do that. Right, so I've got pineapple, I've got pork.
Yeah,
and I'm
the pineapple, the pork.
A little of this pepper.
Still crispy.
Mm-hmm.
This is food that represent me, represent my family, and that's why I love doing it every single day.
Coming up, the Supreme Court of Canada has upheld a federal law giving Indigenous peoples sole authority over their children, knocking down a Quebec appeal in the process. Former Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif is declaring victory in the country's general election, but votes are still being counted and the call may be premature. And we've got Ryan up next with the weather forecast. It looks like the days are getting a little brighter. We'll see you in just a few minutes. We definitely saw some melting with those warmer temperatures and the sun.
And we'll see more of that this weekend, which is great. That will take, more snow load off the decks and the roofs. And I know some people are concerned about that, and so I thought we'd start there. This picture was sent to me this week, and this was sent by Donnie and Gloria Brooke and Greg Grave, Cape Breton. And there's Donnie, hard at work, shoveling that roof off. But Jim Abraham, meteorologist Jim Abraham, posted something on social media this afternoon, really caught my eye. Because so many folks are concerned about their roof, healthy roofs you can find online. It's documented that 20 pounds per square foot is what a healthy roof can handle before it becomes stressed. But what does that mean in terms of snow? Well, he had some engineers do some digging back in 2015 when, of course, snow load was exactly. And basically what that means is that your roof, if it is in good shape and it is healthy, it can handle more than 200 millimeters of water equivalent, which means even if you had 150 centimeters of snow, your roof can handle that this week.
If it's in good shape.
If it's in good shape. So just to take a bit of stress off folks maybe who aren't, able to get up on the roof, that's pretty hazardous work, right?
Yeah, I can't see myself going up on the roof.
Exactly. If you've got your own reasons for going up there, maybe it's prone to some melting and flooding with that ice that builds up underneath, by all means. But don't be worried about it collapsing if your roof is in good shape and healthy. So, with all that said, high temperatures today. You can see we're right near the freezing mark in through Cape Breton. And we got up to 6 degrees at Gejimgujik in the southwest of the province this afternoon, 5 in Shelburne, -2 in and along that Northumberland shore region. Now, as we look at those temperatures out there right now, we're talking about, right around still the freezing mark for the southwest, starting to cool off in through the north and east. And we do have some light precipitation working its way in along this frontal boundary, which is pushing in through New Brunswick and into southwest parts of Nova Scotia as well. And that is on the leading edge of this next system, which is really bringing the mild air into the Great Lakes, as you will see here in just a moment. That is really popping up. 12 degrees in through Toronto at this hour, 9 degrees in New York City, 13 in Chicago. The cold air kind of pushing in on the other side of this system. Despite the warm and cold doing battle here, this is not going to be an impressively strong system, thankfully for us. So we're going to see the increase in clouds tonight, the possibility of a flurry making its way in with that front coming through, but for the most part, it's building clouds. Looks like we'll see those isolated flurry chances generally across northern areas as this frontal boundary pushes through. It's already through the region by Saturday morning, so temperatures will actually bump up a little bit throughout the overnight in that light southwest flow that develops. Still pretty cloudy throughout the day tomorrow. A couple of showers mainly off to our north. We'll bring in the isolated risk more so for the evening. I think the best chances tomorrow are going to be further to the south and west, Yarmouth and the Shelburne areas. Increasing clouds for Cape Breton, but remaining dry, 2 to 4 degrees with those winds in from the south. 5-6 degrees for the Northumberland shore, 3 to 4 for the eastern shore tomorrow. 5 to 7 degrees for the Fundy and Valley again tomorrow. Going to be a terrific day for getting out and stretching the legs. 5 to 7 degrees again for most of the South Shore region. And again, the clouds a little dominant there with the better chance for a shower into the afternoon. 4 degrees for the HRM. Now for Sunday, temperatures 5-6 degrees. Shower chances are going to be at their best risk early on in the morning, and then I think just kind of a cloudy day with some sunny breaks developing into the afternoon. We talked about this earlier, but in case you're joining us, the threat for a storm next week remains. As you can see here with this European model run, track near Sable Island puts us into the significant snow zone. But that is not the only model. That is just one run. And we can see here with the American model guidance, significant snow staying south of Nova Scotia. This would put us in the light range. The Canadian model is even further south than this. So stay tuned for updates this weekend. We will certainly keep you posted. Right now, uncertain is the name of the game. Either way, we will clear out through later Wednesday and into Thursday with some cooler air settling back in, Amy.
I am rooting for the Canadian model.
Yes, you and me both, and I'm pretty sure everybody in this entire province.
I think so.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Well, as his partner was going into labor in Halifax, one Nova Scotian in Alberta found himself facing a daunting task, trying to get home as quickly as possible, even with the knowledge last weekend's massive snowstorm was awaiting him at the other end. After 22 hours of driving from Ontario to Calgary for work as a trucker, he managed to get a flight to Toronto. From there, it took some help, but mostly a whole lot of determination to finally make it to his final destination, the IWK.
I was flying with Porter, and there was not much they could do to me do for me where I landed. So my mom found a flight out of the little Bishop Airport nearby, and going to Fredericton because all the Halifax flights were canceled. So she drove and met me at the airport and gave me a change of clothes, and then drove me to the Bishop Airport, dropped me off. I went in and spoke to a really helpful Porter representative who he said he couldn't do anything there, but he made some phone calls and he did what he could. And then he just handed me a boarding ticket. I didn't have to pay anything extra for it, whatever. He said, "Here you go." He's like, "Good luck getting there." And I hopped on the flight and I landed in Fredericton. I landed at 8 p.m. on Sunday in Fredericton, where a really nice rental car guy at Avis, I said, "Give me your best 4x4." And he gave me a nice Jeep Cherokee. And I ran the snowstorm for the next 5 hours of driving and got to the hospital by just before 3 a.m. And I've been pretty much awake for the whole 2 days that this has been going on. I have some ex-military training. I did a few years in the military, and as well as I have 10 years experience hauling heavy commercial loads with 2 trailers. They call them B trains. And so I have a lot of experience in adverse weather conditions. I felt definitely comfortable about it. There was no problem. There was lots of people in the ditch. There was lots of stuff going on, but I just wanted to keep moving. I knew I wanted to be there no matter what. And so I wasn't going to be a minute later than I could be.
How are you feeling? I mean, you're going into labor. He's not there yet. Tell me about that.
Very emotional. It was crazy. They gave me morphine at first, so I'm like, I don't really remember a lot. It was very painful, and I just wanted him there. It was me and my mom. My mom was with me the whole time. But like 2 hours before I had him, I was 4 centimeters dilated, and then all of a sudden, like half an hour later, I just went to 10, and they're like, okay.
Yeah, in an hour and a half, she went from 4 to 10.
4 to 10, yeah.
Just after he was born, he started to turn a bit blue.
Yeah, his hands and feet and mouth were quite blue.
They rushed him to the NICU unit, and there was some pressure in his lungs. And then he was under monitoring, and while he was under monitoring, he got jaundice, and so then he was under the special light, and so now they're finally discharging him. But he's doing really well. He's very strong, and he's super happy. He's just hanging out here with his eyes open, watching us.
Well, in case you wondered, he managed to get to the IWK less than a day after the birth, and that was their first. They were discharged from the IWK today. Congratulations. Well, up next, I'll talk with Sue Utek with the new group Friends of Downtown Halifax, and I'll ask about their efforts to push HRM to enforce the February 26th eviction deadline for tent encampments. That is our newsmaker. You're watching CBC Nova Scotia News. A newly formed group in downtown Halifax is pushing back on HRM's hands-off approach to evicting residents of tent encampments in Victoria Park and Grand Parade. Friends of Downtown Halifax wants to increase public pressure on the city to remove the tents and provide an enforcement plan to prevent future encampments. I'm joined now by Sue Utek, who is also Executive Director of the Spring Garden Area Business Association. So the city's CAO says they're planning to take a hands-off approach and not involve police. But you sound like you'd like to take a harder line than that. Can you elaborate?
I don't say, Amy, as much a harder line. It's more of, look, the reality is there are going to be people that have refused to move. The other reality is there are some people that, are currently out there that are simply going to be unhousable. And we have no idea how eviction is going to proceed.
And when were you first notified of the eviction notices?
We were notified just like everyone else through you, the media. So that, this was not a good start. Our navigator, who is our social worker that works directly with folks affected, found out, again, like everyone else. Regional police were not informed as well. That's what I've learned.
So you don't think folks will leave unless they are told to or ordered to by police?
Yeah, if you look at the social media channels or interviews with some of the occupants in the tents, and especially in the Grand Parade, they have quite simply, frankly stated they're not going.
Now, when police got involved in 2021, it didn't go so well. How do you think it could be done differently then?
First of all, we just take a step back, as a business improvement districts and here downtown Halifax and Dartmouth, we have asked the municipality for months to get anyone in the room that has anything to do with social services, lay it out on the table. What do you have? What funding exists for you? How can we work together? And that hasn't happened. So there's too many solo entities flying off. And I think if we'd all just sat down, looked at our resources and said, okay, we have a clear picture, then our navigators can go out, because our navigators that are dealing with folks in these encampments are flying blind at the moment.
Well, tell me about the impact these encampments have had on the downtown.
I think it's no secret. It's the panhandling has stepped up. Crime has definitely increased. We have had a number of mental health incidents here on the street, whether it's thefts, smashed windows, or just the stark reality of somebody in crisis with no support system.
Now, Mayor Savage says he wants to manage these evictions in an empathetic and human rights way. Do you think that is possible?
We all hope for the best, and hopefully, and again, just as, for people living in these tents, the way that they got their notification, this is not a good start, but I have faith in Mike Savage, and I believe that he can help us turn the corner, just get us all in the room.
Well, why do you think this is the right time, I guess, to break up the encampments, to move people out of there?
Well, it's kind of ironic with the storm, but to say with spring around the corner, what are we doing on a go-forward basis? We were told, for example, in Victoria Park, there would only be 14 encampments. At one time, we had well over 40. So, there's never going to be a good time. But if the province is stating that they have the resources, other than the forum, to accommodate people, then this is the right time.
Now, your group is also calling for an enforcement plan to stop any future encampments. What would that look like?
I assume it would be like compliance officers hired by the city to say no camping in the park.
Well, what about relocating encampments to other designated sites? I understand that's not an idea this group supports.
Really at this point, the HRM has left some designated sites open. One is University Avenue. So I expect quite a few people might just move from Victoria Park to University Avenue. So, we're not solving the problem, we're adding more complications.
Mm-hmm. Now, some folks, including NDP leader Claudia Chender, argue that people living in tent encampments should only be asked to leave if there are transitional or permanent housing options. So what's your take on that?
Well, and again, and I would agree with Ms. Chender, but the province is stating there is enough room for all. Give us a list, show us where our navigators can help assist people to get to where they want to be.
Well, what is your feedback from the business owners downtown?
The business owners are in favor of getting these encampments closed. It's been an ordeal for us in the Spring Garden area. It's getting the reputation that I don't want to come down here. So as long as this is done compassionately, humanely, then we can support this.
But you just think there needs to be a more coordinated approach?
Yeah, exactly. To a perfect example, we just learned the other day that the Nova Scotia Affordable Housing has $1.2 million given to them from the province for, emergency situations. Our navigator comes to me and says, I'm working with the landlord. I can take 7 people today, but I'm going to need a rent subsidy. That's the kind of coordination and conversations we need to start having.
But are you concerned that this could turn violent?
Oh, very, very concerned. There's no doubt about it. We're all looking for the best outcome. We're all looking for the best outcome here, and hopefully it doesn't come to that.
All right. Well, Sue Utek, thank you very much for your time.
Okay.
We appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you.
Coming up, interest in skilled trades is up, but will it be enough to replace the tradespeople who are ready to retire? The Supreme Court of Canada has upheld the constitutionality of the federal government's Indigenous Child Welfare Act. The decision ends a Quebec challenge that claimed parts of the act interfered with areas of provincial jurisdiction. The CBC's Olivia Stefanovich has the details.
Families from Quebec First Nations celebrate a win to control the care of their children.
I think it's an historical day, a decision that hopefully will give our people the rightful place in this country.
The ruling from the top bench was unanimous, upholding a federal law aimed at keeping Indigenous children with their families and their communities.
It's a very beautiful, a happy decision by the Supreme Court, but it is also, in a way, a sad day that the well-being and the future of these children has been an issue debated before the courts for the past 4 years and beyond.
Quebec challenged the legislation all the way to the High Court, arguing the federal government infringed provincial jurisdiction.
I do hope that Quebec realizes that it too has obligations to make sure that they're having positive relationships with First Nations, Métis and Inuit in their jurisdiction, that Quebec itself is a settler nation in Canada.
In a statement, the Quebec government says its disagreement has always been with the federal government, not First Nations and Inuit. The province says it's analyzing the decision and reminded Ottawa it must work with Quebec rather than acting unilaterally.
It is a deeply significant positive decision from the Supreme Court.
The Prime Minister steered clear of weighing in on this federal-provincial battle, instead focusing on moving forward.
Making sure Indigenous communities, First Nations, Métis and Inuit get to take care of their own kids and give them the brightest possible future.
So far, 7 Indigenous governing bodies have taken control of their child and family services under this legislation. Hundreds more could follow now that this major legal hurdle has been cleared. Olivia Stefanovich, CBC News, Ottawa.
The Prime Minister had strong words today about Bell Media's decision to slash 4,800 jobs, including cuts to local newsrooms. Justin Trudeau says the move is eroding quality local journalism and democracy in Canada.
I'm furious. This is a garbage decision by a corporation that should know better. We have seen over the past years journalistic outlets, radio stations, small community newspapers bought up by corporate entities who then lay off journalists, change the offering, the quality of offering to people. And then when people don't watch as much or engage as much, the corporate entity says, oh, see, they're not profitable anymore. We're going to sell them off. This is the erosion, not just of journalism, of quality local journalism, at a time where people need it more than ever, given misinformation and disinformation. But it's eroding our very democracy. So yeah, I'm pretty pissed off about what's just happened.
Bitter rivals are each claiming victory in Pakistan's general elections held yesterday. Jailed former Prime Minister Imran Khan says candidates backed by him have won the most seats. But earlier, former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif announced he had won and says he'll form a coalition government. The CBC's Salima Shivji has the latest from Islamabad.
It may look like a victory speech, even sound like one.
Muslim League Noon is the largest single party in the country today after the elections.
But it's not a win for the man widely seen as the one backed by Pakistan's powerful military. Nawaz Sharif, a 3-time former prime minister, was the perceived favorite. In an election many thought was predetermined. Instead, it was a tight race. Voters came out in large numbers for Imran Khan, the former prime minister jailed and barred from running. His party, the target of a crackdown by authorities. And his candidates forced to run as independents. They pulled off a stunning victory in many parts of the country. The vote count was excruciatingly slow, marred by delays. That fueled anger and frustration from Khan's supporters, which boiled over as allegations of vote rigging piled up. This candidate for Khan's Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf party took to Facebook to call it out. The mandate of the people has been stolen, he says. Amr Masood Mughal shows me the official election night document he says proves he won, only to have that result switched in the morning.
The result is different from the Form 45.
Official document. So, complete change.
Complete change.
Even with the alleged irregularities, the party did well. Khan from behind bars also claimed victory with an AI-generated message, calling it a landslide and an unprecedented fight back. But with both sides convinced they've won, analysts say the turmoil in Pakistan's politics is far from over.
We will enter into another political crisis post-elections. During this election, people have shown their will, and now it has shaken the elite.
Salima Shivji, CBC News, Islamabad.
Prince Harry has settled his lawsuit against Mirror Group newspapers. Harry alleged he'd been the victim of phone hacking and other illegal tactics. In December, a court agreed, awarding him the equivalent of 238,000 Canadian dollars. That judgment was based on just a fraction of the articles Harry cited. Today's settlement covers the remainder and legal costs. Harry said today he'll continue his avowed mission to purge senior executives he says approved false reporting and illegal intrusions. Interest in skilled trades and apprenticeships appear to be making a comeback. People are signing up for programs, and it's hit a 10-year high in Canada, but there are concerns the surge isn't going to be enough to replace all the tradespeople who are set to retire. The CBC's Paula Duhacek has this report.
Homework for this class doesn't take place in the library. For many, that's the whole point.
I've always preferred working hands-on and on a job site rather than in an office setting. And carpentry is a trade that allows me to apply my problem-solving skills and be creative. And I've always loved building things from high school.
That hands-on work is appealing to more and more people. At this Alberta Polytechnic, the number of students signing up for training in the trades has grown 20% in the last 2 years.
And it's a good thing. The skilled trades have been an area that had been underinvested for quite a long time.
A similar trend unfolding at a national level. In 2022, the number of Canadians registering for apprenticeships shot to its highest level since 2014, and it's still climbing. One sector driving interest in the trades is construction. Canada needs more homes and more carpenters, plumbers, and electricians to build them.
Seeing more people choose the trades and go into apprenticeship programs is very much needed because we have a lot of shoes to fill now and working our way into the future.
But with about 20% of the construction industry expected to retire in the next decade, there's concern even a big uptick in people entering the trades won't fill all of the gaps.
It's going to take an all-hands-on-deck approach on a bunch of different levels to succeed to fill the housing shortage and get the workers we need to do it.
Still, for this student, the labor shortage means a window of opportunity.
I knew that over the last 5 years at least, like getting into the carpentry industry, we'll be losing a lot of older tradespeople, and now is kind of the best time to learn from them and then hopefully take their jobs in the future.
A window he's hoping will lead to a successful career. Paula Duhacek, CBC News, Calgary.
Well, not sure about you, but I took every chance I could to soak up some of the sun today. I didn't realize how much I missed it until it came back.
Yeah, and it's getting higher in the sky, as we will see in just a second. First, let's have a look at how that sun looked going down tonight, and it was a beautiful sunset. We're going to go to just outside of Sydney, and yeah, Little Brador, beautiful spot.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Thanks so much to Rosemary Woods, who snapped this and then sent it right along.
Good timing.
Yeah, great timing, because yeah, she didn't have much time as we look at those sunrise and sunset times. Now, this is for Halifax, so it does fluctuate a little bit, setting actually this evening in Sydney around 5:15. So a little bit later here in Halifax and a little bit later in Yarmouth around 5:45. So it does make a difference where you are in the province. But we are 1 month away tomorrow from springing forward.
I love that time of year.
It's later evenings, of course. That's a controversial thing, of course, springing forward, but for
Not
sure,
for me.
the days are getting longer. You can see by April 15th, we're at 8 p.m. sunsets, and yeah, I think it's about 133 days, but who's counting?
Yeah, who's counting?
Until the start of summer. And so, yes, you can see how much our daylight really increases. We're gaining about 3 minutes a day right now, and our sun angle goes from about 30 degrees above the horizon now to 70 by the time we get to June 21st. Pretty nice spring-like weekend, really. Temperatures on the plus side, 4 to 7 for the mainland tomorrow. We're near 2 for Cape Breton. Better chance of some 3, 4s, and 5 degree temperatures across Cape Breton on Sunday, and 5 across the entire board. And as we look into the 7-day forecast, again, keeping an eye on Tuesday as uncertainty continues.
Yeah, keep an eye on it for sure. Well, the much anticipated 20th anniversary of the Puppy Bowl is taking place ahead of the NFL's biggest game Sunday.
Let the Puppy Bowl begin.
Team Rough will take on Team Fluff in the cutest game of the year. The biggest matchup on all fours promises to be jam-packed with lots of furry fun.
This year's lineup features 131 playful pups from more than 70 shelters across the U.S. They'll compete for the Lombardi Trophy, encouraging pet adoptions in this name of the game.
Oh, they're awfully cute. Well, that is it for us tonight. Thanks for watching and have a great weekend.
Good night.